I took a night shift job at a 24-hour gym last year in a converted warehouse on the edge of town, mostly for the free membership, the quiet workouts, and because during lockdown, money mattered more than comfort. For the first few weeks, it was perfect, with rain tapping the metal roof, motorbikes humming past on the main road, and the faint call of azan drifting from a distant surau before dawn. I told myself it was the best job for someone who liked being alone. Then small things started to happen. The treadmill would blink on by itself, and I'd blame old wiring. I'd hear a clank from the locker room even though it was locked, and I'd tell myself it was pipes cooling after a hot day. Once, while wiping mirrors in the gym, I felt a cold patch slide past my arm like someone had brushed me, and I laughed it off because fear is easier to carry when you joke about it. The owner had a dark sense of humor. On my first day, he showed me a ghost video from some gym overseas that turned out to be a bug on a camera lens, and he joked that our place would be next because the building used to be a storage hall before anyone cared what happened there at night. I believed in rational answers, so I collected them like shields. The first real sound I noticed was a basketball bouncing on the court at around 1 a.m., even though the cage was locked and the balls were counted. I told myself sound travels strangely in big empty spaces, especially when rain hits the roof just right. A few nights later, a leg press machine hissed and powered on across the room, and I walked over, shut it off, and told myself the power grid here always jumps during storms. Then the cold spots came. Not everywhere, just moving patches, like the air itself was walking. One night the basketball sound returned, only this time it was right outside my office door. One sharp bounce, a second, and then silence thick enough to hear your own blood. I opened the door to an empty hallway that smelled faintly like damp concrete and something old. Another night, I left the men's locker room and the heavy hydraulic door slammed behind me, locking tight like it wanted me alone. My chest went tight as I pulled and pulled, whispering stupid prayers I hadn't used since I was a child. And then the door swung open easily, as if it had never been locked at all. After that, fear became part of the job. I stopped working out. I just cleaned, checked cameras, and waited for sunrise with my headphones on. But you can't drown out the feeling of being watched. Sometimes the mirrors looked deeper than they should, like they had space behind them. Last night ended everything. The free weight area has wall-to-wall mirrors, the kind that show you from every angle so you can't hide from yourself. I told myself I'd do one short set to feel normal. I sat on the bench, lifted the dumbbells, and started. On the third rep, I glanced at my reflection. My reflection's eyes were wide with terror. It wasn't looking at me, it was looking behind me. I froze with the weights still in my hands. In the mirror, my reflection dropped its dumbbells. It raised its hands to its mouth in a silent scream. My own hands were still gripping the weights, shaking. Behind my reflection, something tall and thin was rising from the floor, like smoke that learned how to stand. It had no clear face, just a darker shape where a face should be, and its head leaned forward like it was curious about me. The only sound in the gym was the low hum of the lights and my own breathing turning shallow. I didn't scream. I didn't turn around. I dropped the weights and the crash tore through the silence like thunder. I ran. I ran past silent machines, past the dark basketball court, past the front desk where the clock blinked 3:17 a.m. and burst through the doors into wet night air that smelled like rain and petrol. I didn't stop until the streetlights of my block were bright enough to make shadows behave. I quit the next morning. The owner laughed and said, "See, our place got its own ghost story now." But he didn't ask me to stay. Maybe he already knew. I still don't know what I saw in that mirror. Maybe it was stress, or exhaustion, or the way light bends when you stare too long at yourself. But sometimes when I walk past a shop window at night and catch my reflection by accident, I slow down without meaning to, because I'm afraid one day my reflection won't be looking at me, and I don't want to know what it will be looking at instead.